New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
This is dedicated to all the real sexaholics. Especially of the freaky side of me. Girl, I wanna give you every inch of me. Jump up in my truck and let me take you there. I'll let you ride on through the night. I'm a sexaholic and I'm cool with it. So let me eat that kitty till I'm through with it. Wanna see you shaking cause you loving it. The pleasure's all mine. I want it all the time. It's always on my mind. It's just a part of me. Sex I love. I love it.
Welcome into hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, so I feel like I know who that is. I know I've heard the song. Is that B2K? I don't know who it is. It sounds like the man who should not be named track. I'm not sure who the group is though.
Jill,
What?
Are you serious right now?
I'm blanking. I don't know. I have no clue. Couldn't even tell you.
Not just in and out on my circle, man. Everything I wanna feel. Hitting every wall is the master plan.
I'm gonna give you a hint.
Okay.
Cowboy fan,
Cowboy fan.
Washington D.C.
Mario?
I like to blink a lot. Black ground.
Tank?
Black ground.
Yeah, it could have been Tank was signed to Black Ground for his first album. Genuine?
Boom!
Okay.
Off the senior album.
All right. Like, I knew the song.
I stumped her. Yeah, let's go.
You did stump me. I knew the song. I knew the song, but I was like, is this a group? I was almost going to say Pretty Ricky. I really had no clue.
I was like, B2K? Wow.
It did. It sounded like a very 2000 boy band group song. Like, I bet you, who produced it? Because it also sounded like an R track to me. The little do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Shout out to DJ Black 909 in the chat. He said LeBron James' 21st season in the NBA decided the match in a pretty awesome comeback against a decimated Phoenix.
Yeah, he finally took it to the rack.
I mean, and that probably was pretty painful for him. You know how many ice packs LeBron's probably going to have on him tonight? He's probably going to lay down in a hyperbaric chamber.
He probably is.
Listen, state of the art.
Hey, he was talking a lot of mess too. He's real cocky right after that layup right there.
I know. He had to get himself hyped up.
Right.
Listen, it probably took him a lot to lift his body up like that. And he's thinking,
What?
no shade, LeBron. I know that you are Superman. You have set the standard and the stage as far as how to take care of your body as a professional NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the longevity. I mean, you think about it. I mean, just these little tweaks and little bump things that he's had over the past couple of years with the Lakers, but LeBron's never had a real serious injury.
Not at all. Not at all. And
He's never really missed extensive game time.
And to consider, how intense he plays, you would think that his body would have broke down maybe at least 5 years ago.
Right. Like, look at the Shaqs. Look at, know, some of the other guys. So, I mean.
Well, Shaq didn't take care of himself the way he should have.
Exactly. And he regretted that in the
let
end.
big toes get you.
Man, no feet problems or any of that.
But with big men, though, it's different, though, when it comes to the
True.
feet.
Their feet fall apart. But LeBron, when did he move completely from small forward to power forward? When did he completely make that?
I don't know if he ever did. To me, he's always been interchangeable. Even point guard, too.
I mean, I guess at this point, though, because basketball is largely positionless, it kind of doesn't matter like it did when he first got in the league.
Mm-hmm.
When they were trying to push him, but
Exactly.
you were gonna say something else though.
Oh no, Scott Storch is the producer of this song.
Scott Storch. Okay, okay, all right, that makes sense. Very 2000-ish Scott Storch sound.
I think that song dropped in 06 maybe, so early 2000s for sure.
That makes sense. Little Coke fuel, little yeah. Scott Storch was an interesting character, boy.
My bad. That was 03, actually.
03. That makes more sense because it definitely sounds like, that's why I said, like, you know,
B2K.
B2K, that especially too when you think about the instrumentation, because 2003 is where there were a lot of samples, I feel like, utilizing Indian type music or flutes and
That's
that matter.
Pharrell.
Pharrell's influence. Yeah, you think about like Truth Hurts and songs like that. You think about even what is R. Kelly had a song like that. Move your mama like
Move
a
your body
snake.
like a snake, man.
Yep. So
Featuring
I
Big
feel
Tig.
like, huh?
Featuring Big Tigger.
Yeah. Yep. And I feel like there's a B2K song that had something like that.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Whatever
Bada
song.
boom, bada bing.
Yeah.
It's off the You Got Served.
So yeah, so I just, that was very much the sound, I guess, if I had to think of something else that kind of fit in with the 2000s. The 2000s for me, going off on a tangent,
Speak on it.
were really a weird time in music and fashion.
Speak on it.
Because I feel like there was a lot, like we were changing over. So obviously Y2K. I feel like they were one of the worst fashion decades of a while, especially for women. Little blazers, we all looked like we were going to after 5 cocktails when we were going out. Jeans and the little blazers with the stacked bangles and the big belts. Ugh. Just in the little floaty tops and the low-rise jeans, you know. It just wasn't a vibe fashion-wise, I feel like.
I will say, at least the button-ups was a good thing.
When
right?
Jay had everybody change clothes.
Yeah, because
They went from 5XL tall tees.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, we wore probably with some baggy jeans and stuff like that, but at least, you know, the top part was a little bit more presentable.
A little
you know
cleaner, a little more substance. I mean, I did like that, you know, the switch up. It was Jay-Z saying that, and also the NBA at the same time, because I remember I was at Nike at that time period, and they had made the dress code thing.
Yep.
And we at Nike, we were trying to figure out position-wise how we were going to support the athletes, how they could still get, you know, the footwear in there. So the different type of materials they were going to utilize, the campaigns and stuff to go with this big innovative push to make them more in line with a business vibe. And of course, you know who blew that out of the water? 2 guys. And 2010-ish is when I feel like that changeover happened.
Westbrook? But that had to been maybe a little bit past Westbrook.
2010, 2011, it was when during the playoffs, like when OKC, Russ started wearing like the red glasses. His first looks were calm. It was around that time period. But who's the other guy?
Same squad at that time?
Nope. He actually played for the Clippers.
At that time?
At that time.
2010.
2010-ish, somewhere around there, 2010,
Clippers.
2011.
Not Chris Paul.
No, not at all.
Catino Mobley.
Catino's a good dresser, but no. Swaggy P, Nick Young, showing up with the Versace unbuttoned down to the post-game pressers. He was getting his big one on, showing out. And it kind of started shifting because he got a lot of attention for it. And he and Russ started the shift of what I called nerd swag, which led into this big overblown fashion movement. When we come forward, more trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Green Foundation, key health influencer, empowering our Black communities through action. The Green Foundation advocates for affordable health care, accessibility, and knows the importance of culturally relatable health care. Regardless of income, we believe it is a right for optimum health. The Green Foundation has been at the forefront for 25 years, dedicated solely to promoting prevention through early detection, annual screenings, and nutrition. We know you because we are you. Our hand-holding approach supports you and your family to receive your right to be treated fairly and receiving quality healthcare services. We want you and your family to know COVID-19 was devastating to our families and to our wallet. We can build back better by understanding prevention, wearing your mask, washing your hands, social distancing, and understanding the impact of long COVID. Get the care you deserve. Take advantage of your privileges. Contact us, info@thegreenfoundation.net. info@thegreenfoundation.net.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you for clocking in with us VIPs. So listen, again, there is so very much for us to discuss. What were we just discussing? We were talking about fashion. And the reason why is because I said, and I'm right, Swaggy P and Russell Westbrook were on the front end of this fashion foray. They really were. And it wasn't quite as outlandish as it is now, but coming from where we were, where it was pretty generic, pretty straightforward. Some of the guys at suits were kind of leaning back. They weren't really making, going hardcore with that like they were. And I guess it was like 2004 when they kicked into the dress code and that whole sort of mindset. By 2010, 2011, they were relaxing a little bit. But yeah, Swaggy P brought back the Versace, and he had the big hair and the little blonde tips. That's when Louis Vuitton spiked slides, the slide shoes were in, so guys were getting their red bottoms on and things of that nature, and a lot of guys were wearing the fake lens glasses, and their clothes, that's when the clothes started getting a little tighter. They weren't as tight as they are now, but it was just a change. Andy?
I'm going to say it got tight in around 2008, 2009.
That skinny jeans, I mean, you get what is
the
it?
jerk movement.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Lil Wayne.
Yep. That is true.
That's when Lil Wayne became a skater.
That is, good point. And I guess that is a very good point. I have to put Lil Wayne in there because, what's interesting about that? Again, going back to my time at Nike.
Story time with Jill Munroe.
Story time with Jill. During like the early 2000s, we started seeing a larger collective of Black kids getting into the skate movement, especially here in Southern California.
Terry Kennedy,
exactly. He definitely had an impact on them. I think no, that show hadn't started yet. But I think that it is something that naturally lends itself to being in LA. Beach culture is always right there. It's probably something that, you could kind of weave in and out of. They had skateboards in the hood. You know what I mean?
Skate parks in the hood, too.
Exactly. BMX bikes, that whole kind of X Games type of situation. We started seeing like a big movement in that with kids. So it wasn't that surprising to me to see Wayne move into that space, especially when you think about the early 2000s as far as rap and rock. We had a lot of hybrid fusions with that, like Jay with Linkin Park, you know, a lot of those bands that were doing the rock rap fusion thing, and our rappers, again, trying to expand, so I can't be mad at that. They were really stepping into the idea. Again, because if you think about the late 90s, when hip hop started creeping up and taking over the charts and taking those top positions on things like MTV and white dominated radio, and really when rappers started becoming like pop stars and teen idols, they started acting like rock stars in the 80s. So it made sense that they would start dressing like them too, because they were being exposed to the next level.
Now, I feel in the early 2000s, so like 2000, 2001, 2002, we still was rocking the whole jean outfit. You know what I'm saying? What was it? Fubu went to Fat Albert. You know what I'm saying?
Facts
and then,
in the early 2000s.
We had Rockaware. We had Sean John the Velour.
You had the jeans with the every NBA team logo on them.
Yeah. So, like, how did you feel about that part of the fashion in the early 2000s?
I think for me, when I think back to that movement, it was exciting to see hip hop going mainstream.
Okay.
So I feel like, you know, the dress reflected that. Getting to see Puffy at that time get his own streetwear brand.
That was big.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Like, we take it for granted now because everybody has a streetwear line, and it seems much easier to get distribution, to get involved in the mix, to put out your own brand. And that wasn't happening at that time. It took a lot of capital, a lot of money, a lot of effort. You know, Sean John, Fubu, you know, coming off the heels of stuff like Carl Kanai and Cross Colors in the 90s. And there were other, you know, urban wears that were trying to, it was definitely the time of, I got a clothing line, we're starting it with a t-shirt with just this logo on it. So everybody had that, you know. You think about like Eve with Fetish. But I think for hip hop also too, at that time period, it was also the rise of the South. So that's when you started to see trap music, well, snap music first, and then trap music, or maybe they were together. I don't really know.
I think trap came first.
But you started to see, like, even if you think about early T.I., Rubber Band Man, you know, stuff that was on the I'm Serious album.
Trap, for sure.
You know, they were coming up. And although, obviously, Outkast was who they were. What's that look?
Lil Jon.
Lil Jon, yeah.
He was at the forefront of the early 2000s. When you think about the South.
Producing everything.
My bad, I take that back. Let me rewind.
Okay.
Ludacris,
for sure. I was just about to say, what's your fantasy?
I mean, Nelly's not from the South.
Midwest, but you know, we kind of lumped them together. We didn't really know. We don't count it as it being too different. So I feel like for that fashion, yeah, you probably wanted to see a guy in a suit, but I think about the age of the rappers then and the time period, like it all kind of fit together. Because that's where you were. Most of these guys were like, you know, early 20s or, you know, mid 20s. So you got to see the evolution in real time of them sort of evolving into manhood and taking off like the big baggy 5X jeans and stuff, becoming more tailored and stepping into that. So it was cool to me, you know. I didn't, at the time, you kind of didn't mind it. You didn't really think about it too much because, you know, then you had designer denim wear at that point with the accoutrements and stuff.
Was you a jersey dress person? Because that was popping for a while.
I did I don't know if, I don't think I actually did a jersey dress. I probably wore now, did I wear a jersey of some sort? Absolutely. But an actual dress, maybe. I can't really remember. I definitely took a jersey and got it studded out, rhinestoned out. Definitely was on my fashion studded thing with that. That was big, you know. So I definitely had that look. But like I said, overall, the 2000s fashion-wise. Prove me wrong, y'all. Prove me wrong. I just feel like it was just...
You can say the same thing about the 90s, too.
No,
It was so colorful in the 90s.
No, I like 90s fashion, though. I feel like every era is going to have, like, some part or somebody that's just wrong. But overall, I think that was a good era fashion-wise. And I think that there were more... One of the things that happened with social media and reality TV, and I remember I used to always, like, it superficial, say, I don't understand why people don't dress better. There's so many places for them to go and just get their outfit or whatever, and there's a blueprint there, right? And now everybody dresses the same, and I don't know if it's necessarily better or not, but I do appreciate there was more individuality, you know?
I know it's popping now.
What?
The hipster look.
It is. I feel like that's something that always comes in and out. That is when I feel like when not saying that it's not organic to people and that's not just their vibe, but I always feel like when I see people where it feels a little extreme or whatever, they switch into it, that they want to take themselves more seriously and they think this is the way to do it, but show that they still have a little coolness to them. I'm not mad at it. I like the hipster look, though.
Would you say the thrift store look is the same thing as a hipster look?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least inspired by or a subgenre of. I don't know how you would term it, but it's in there.
It's just funny to me because, I don't know how much of a fad or a trend it is, but I have noticed a lot of folks within our community, we used to go out of our way to go ahead and get the new, Sean John Rockaware, name brand, this, that, and the third. But I see a lot of people now. I'm about to go to the Goodwill and just, cop these jeans for $2 and I'm about to freak it out.
I think that the approach, it's overcorrection. I think that you can only go so far in the direction that, we were headed. Fashion has always been a thing, consumption of, having labels. But I think also it reached a point, too, we're so overexposed with social media in ways that we weren't in other time periods. So I think it is a desire to like separate yourself and not be caught up in the rigmarole in some ways, like free yourself from the algorithm.
Like a political statement kind of sort of.
In some ways, just, tired of being caught up in that mix and just having to be a slave to it or to conform to it. Plus, stuff is expensive right now. You think about the last 10 to 15 years, if you're an old person as well, and not old, I'm not saying old, I'm saying older, vintage, classic, I'm included. But if you are a younger person or an older person, you think about the last 15 years, 2 economic crises, right? A global pandemic. What? A global like we literally saw the world shut down, right? The brink of potentially a world war, serious conflicts happening, housing crisis, like it's just so many things that have happened over the past 15 years. It seems inevitable that everyone's approach is going to have to change. How can I forget 4 years of DT as the big guy in charge? It's been a lot that has happened in the past 15 years. And so naturally, I think that beyond the things that just happen from generation to generation, there is going to be a feeling or a change in the general, feeling, I think, of everyone, because we've been so overexposed. We've been beat down with so many things, you got to switch it up a little bit. And I think that we are definitely seeing that with the younger generation that is coming behind. Do you have something funny to add? No.
No, nothing funny.
Nothing funny. But look, we will see how obviously all of this turns out, but those are my quick thoughts on fashion. Of course, we're going to get into some Gen Z stuff in a minute, but before we do, I thought this was interesting and I wanted to share this. So we know that James Brown passed away in 2006, right? But if you weren't aware, you know that like he still is not resting in peace, right? That technically James Brown is still not buried, maybe. So listen to this. his children and advisors, they spent years like bickering over his fortune, right? His daughter has claimed that his crypt was empty. The court ruled that his fourth wife was not really his wife. So there were questions, again, how the estate would be divided and split up. There were like more than a dozen people who claimed that they were entitled to some portion of James Brown's estate, right? So, excuse me, there were calls for an autopsy or a criminal investigation surrounding his death, right? So in the recent weeks, and this is according to CNN, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office in Atlanta has said that they have found potential evidence related to Brown that had somehow been missing for well over a year. So the lawyer for a woman who turned in the evidence, they've asked the FBI to look into the matter, right? So the controversy started at the DA's office in 2020 when a former associate of James Brown named Jackie Hollander submitted a green plastic bin full of potential evidence, including a black stiletto shoe and a handwritten note. She said that it could prove that James Brown had been murdered. Paul Howard, he was the district attorney, said investigators would speak with about like a half a dozen potential witnesses named by Hollander and decide what move that they would make from there. But according to internal documents obtained by CNN via the Georgia Open Records Act, by the way, that, is likely how those Shirley Strawberry tapes got out, because you can get access to information. Anyway, there was no indication that those interviews ever happened. So a year later, Howard lost the election to Fannie Willis, right? So she closed the Brown inquiry in 2021 without taking any action. Hollander followed up with the DA's office about this green plastic bin and where the items were, and she got a strange response. We have shipped the items requested. That's all she got. But instead of the plastic bin, officials sent her a cardboard box that mostly contained old newspaper clippings plus 2 old cell phones. And she said she had never remembered seeing them before. And despite several inquiries, she wasn't able to get back the evidence. Well, earlier this year, she sued the DA's office for answers about the missing items. And the DA failed to respond to the lawsuit. She filed a motion for a default judgment. So it was finally responded to last May, and it blamed excusable neglect. So listen, this is where it starts to get really crazy. But we're going to get into all of that on the other side. So when we come forward, we will give you the rest of the details on this James Brown case. Plus get into why Gen Z is tired of seeing sexual acts in TV and film. We're going to talk about that, plus more trending topics and headlines. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is on the other side.
I love it anyway. The bed, the floor, a chair. It's just a part of me. Sex, I love. I like it, I love it. I want it all the time. I crave it, I need it. It's always on my mind. I like it, I love it. I want it all the time. I crave it, I need it. It's always on my mind.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Leaders in New York are reacting to the deadly mass shooting in Maine. Governor Kathy Hochul says her heart breaks for the people of Lewiston, Maine, adding that weapons of war have no place on America's streets. She questioned how many more gun deaths have to occur before this country comes to its senses. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams posted to X, formerly known as Twitter, saying thousands of lives have been changed forever, but we don't have to live like this. Shocking and staggering figures show 1 in 10 people in San Diego, California live below the poverty line. This was the findings from the San Diego Foundation's Economic Equity Report. Besides 10% living below the poverty line, the findings also include 86,000 children in that category. The report shows the biggest groups impacted are Latino and Black communities. The overall data indicates San Diegans have to spend too much of their income on housing, utilities, transportation, and food. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Calling all night owls, Buffalo Wild Wings is open late. Fill up on some tasty apps with an ice cold tall beer starting at $4. Late night food and drinks start at $4 from 10 till close at B-Dubs. Limited time at participating locations. Offers, days, and times may vary. Drink responsibly. Void where prohibited. Tax and fees extra.
We boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
A sense of peace, a place to kick back and put down roots, a lasting legacy. However you define home, at City National, we're committed to helping you get there with our City National Ladder Up Home Loan Program. Find the full benefits at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National Bank, here for our clients and communities. Ladder Up program is available only in select areas. Terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS ID 536994.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, everything okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Honey. Hey, I'm here for you. Tell me about school today.
When kids can't find the right words, music can help them sound it out. Talk to the kids in your life about their emotional well-being. Find tools and resources at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Cinderella, cut it up one time. Come on.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Let's talk about sex for now. To the
Shout out to Salt and Pepper. Let's talk about sex. That's off the Black Magic album. I think 1990, 91, something like that. 1990. I love that album cover. They had it was them. It was an illustration. They were in what looked like a library, and it had pictures of Billie Holiday and all of these other luminaries in the smoke. It was really beautiful to me. So here's the thing. I'm glad you played that, Andy. That is a song that is educational that I loved actually, right? And appreciated it. It was a little preachy. That was when, they started getting on their thing, kind of, because you think about Salt and Pepper and TLC, they were kind of on the front end of women saying, hey, we got to protect ourselves too. Let's have these conversations. The whole thing with the condoms, left eye with the condom thing and whatever. Again, these things seem so common now, so easy to discuss or talk about, or the availability. I mean, during that time period, I feel like that was when they used to keep the condoms in the back behind the register, and you had to go ask for it, and it was like a whole covert activity, and young ladies certainly weren't supposed to walk around and purchase a condom or have it in their purse or, be forward thinking in that manner. So it was a very different time. So shout out to them. See, I do like things that aren't just ratchet and fun. I do like some educational or, more cerebral rap.
That was a different time. You think about when hip hop was born, that's what it was. Hip hop was educational, you know what I mean? And they made it cool to vibe with too, though. And that's probably what's missing today, right?
Yeah.
Is I guess the coolness of the Nas, I Can. How do you feel about that song?
We talked about that the other night. Okay. I said I like that song, and you were like, that doesn't count.
Interesting. Okay. Right.
You said it doesn't count. I think it counts.
We talk a lot over here, so I'm pretty sure I forgot about that.
You said it doesn't count, and I said I like that song. I felt that was good. When I think about, again, it was a different time, and there were more double entendres that were dropped into rap because they couldn't be as overt as we are now. And I think with that happening, it's lost some of the creativity because, they couldn't just say, my coochie in my back or whatever. They had to be creative with all of it. If you listen to 90s music, dirty, real grimy, you think about SWV, they were the queen of woman don't gotta know, we can meet up in the dark and what's
You're
done
the one.
You're the one.
And that was
my jam.
Jinx. That was my jam too. And I didn't realize until I got older. I was like, hold on. This song is grimy.
Right. And if she find out I don't know nothing, I'm on mute. What? I got you, boo.
Is that respectfully cheating right there?
It is. Because she knows her place. Because here's the thing, and I'm probably going to get some flack. Oh, Forensic Accountant in the chat said, You Must Learn by BDP is still a favorite of mine. Another good example, right? I know I'm going to get some flack for this, but I do think a difference of the women back in the day, the other woman, the side piece, is that they did know their role. They were not. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't want to be top dog, some of them, or wanted to be in the light, but the majority of them knew that they had to keep it cute and on mute and in the cut and, be respectful. But to come along with that loyalty and that silence, there were things that were happening by the man too. So I think all of that is lost in the process, Like Floyd Mayweather said, he was making the comparison of his love life and cars. You, just like with both, he said, you are allowed to have as many as you can maintain. We know that it costs a lot to maintain a luxury vehicle. And he's not just, in your garden variety Lexus or Benz. We're talking about Ferraris and Phantoms, right? And he took that same approach with women. And as long as he could maintain them, then they were on board with it. So just different era. At any rate, let me finish filling you in on this James Brown story. So essentially, the missing bin of items has miraculously turned up, and they don't know what happened to it. They don't know why it went missing. There is no explanation about it. People still want more answers about his death, including his son Daryl and Brown's former manager Frank Kopasitis. And in 2022, he told a CNN interviewer that he believed James Brown was murdered and that somebody wanted him dead. But law enforcement has yet to do a full investigation, and they haven't explained why they ended that 2021 inquiry without a follow-up response or seeking an autopsy, right? In 2017, in an interview with a man named Marvin Crawford, who was the doctor that signed James Brown's death certificate, he said he wanted an autopsy to find out how Brown really died. And then in 2018, Brown's daughter Deanna declined to confirm or deny if Brown's body was actually in a crypt. So, listen, that is crazy. It has almost been 20 years since he passed away. 17 right now. I hope James Brown is resting peacefully, and I hope that his body is right where it's supposed to be, and I hope that it was just natural causes and not all of these other things. All right, listen, Gen Z. They're different, right? They have different concerns. They are involved in different types of stuff. And ultimately, it has impacted their social lives, their relationships, and their love lives. And apparently, what they want to watch. Now, I'm Gen X all day, right? All day. Slow down. Forensic accountant in the cat says murdered how Charles Bobbitt was at his bedside almost the entire time. I do not know how. There is a man that passed away. It might have been Charles, if Charles recently passed away, because it was Charles something. Anyway, it was a friend of James Brown's, and he allegedly had a vial of James Brown's blood that he wanted tested. There are all types of twists and turns. Listen, all of this may just come down to a financial thing and, people trying to make moves at that time for his fortune. We know that although that's not a question, Bobbitt, that's a statement. Got it, forensic accountant. I'm just telling you what was told to CNN in various forms and what they're doing. So apparently there is some speculation that there could be something that is amiss. Not that there is, but to your point, the state of Georgia has declined to move forward on anything or look at the evidence. So assuming that it will just be one of those things that some will question and some won't, unless somebody's going to go into that crypt and see what's really good in there. So when we come forward, we're going to get into this Gen Z story because really, besides the fact that they don't really communicate anymore, they don't date, they don't know how to talk to each other, they don't want to see y'all doing the nasty on screen. And I have to say, to a certain degree, I low-key agree. We'll get into that on the other side. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
We're celebrating 1 year of the K. From checking out the vibrant art and diverse dining in Lamert Park to cheering on your favorite team in Inglewood, you can choose your own adventure when you ride the Metro K-Line. Leave the car at home and go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So I was talking to you about Gen Z. So basically, UCLA did a new study, Teens and Screens. It was conducted by the Center for Scholars and Storytellers. And they interviewed about 1,500 members of Gen Z. I know that seems like a small sample, but and the ages were from 10 to 24 years old. And what they found was that the response was that in that age group, they want more relatable stories in TV and film, stories that emphasize platonic relationships instead of sexual ones. They want to see lives more like their own on screen, which include less romance. It said 48% of adolescents feel that sex and sexual content is not needed for the plot of most TV shows and movies. And 51.5% want to see more content focused on friendships and just platonic regular relationships. And I think that that is a direct response to just the in general lasciviousness of all of our shows. Like I will take something that is, one of my favorite shows. I watch it all the time. And it's joked about as far as power and their sex scenes. But sometimes you're just like, why are we here? Go do a drug deal or something like that. Like, this doesn't fit. It fits where it fits, but sometimes it just feels like you are checking boxes. And I feel like there are certain networks where there is a silent, at least to the audience, edict as far as sex scenes and what is shown and what has to happen on screen. So I feel them on that. I think that there's a lot of shows where it's put in there to try and advance the relationship and show closeness really quickly and maybe match with what they feel, the dominating culture is right now as far as hip hop. I'm not trying to say, well, obviously they're having less sex, but I think it's different when you think about Gen Xers and millennials who were coming off of the 60s and 70s, going through the summer of love and the civil rights movements and the feminist movements, where sexuality was seen as taking control and a whole different sort of vibe and thought process that went along with it, which some people feel has hurt us. Andy? No? Oh, I thought you were. Okay. Some people think that we, obviously reached a point where it's too much. It's too open. It's too free. It's too accessible. And really, you think about this. You probably had to work hard if you were a kid in the 90s to get your hands on some porn. To see, harder than you do now, right? I'm not saying that it was like Fort Knox, but now anybody, you can go online at any time of the day, right? Anywhere. You don't even have to worry about, oh, I'm sticking it in the VCR. Can my parents hear in the other room? You could go on your phone, put on your headphones, and do what you have to do, and it's there. It's easy to find. You don't have to search really hard. You don't have to have an adult go into the store and buy it for you or things of that nature. It's just there. So it's a very different time, and I think the overexposure of it all has sort of numbed them to the desire of it. Plus, given the fact that social media is taken over and in-face interactions have gone down because they don't know how to have a conversation, they only know how to text. It's just a very different time. Forensic Accountant says, I'm quite curious about Gen Z and their views on seduction. I don't know if they consider it the same. I think that there are certain things you have to consider, like one, consent in the way that it is framed very differently with them than the conversations that we would have back in the day. I think there is a less of an emphasis on good girls and fast girls per se, things of that nature. I think that it was considered romantic back in the day if a guy that you were interested in or maybe he was pursuing you would swoop in and kiss you. Now that's assault. And I'm not saying that in some instances it may not have been then. I'm definitely not making light of that. So please don't think that. But I'm just saying, the ideology is different. The thought process is different. The conversations that we have around it are very different. So, I don't know. We know that, and this may or may not be a bad thing, they are having less sex and having children later. And so we are definitely in for a shift as far as what the next generations will look like. We already know that, boomers and millennials, as far as populations, both are more plentiful than Gen X, who's in the middle. And Gen X has taken over as the elders, the ones that are, one day maybe in control of, your local governments. And, maybe our president will be, 60 one day or something like that. We'll see, right? But it's just a very different time frame. And one thing I can say is that I respect that a little bit of chase is coming back into the story. And I hope Hollywood pays attention and gives them, just general coming of age stories that don't have to be, we're not saying once again, because romance and connections and crushes are a natural part of adolescent. But, slow down on all of the erotic intimacy. I don't know. Sometimes it's not needed. Sometimes we could just tell the story and keep that thing pushing. So listen, Cesar Pena, right? This man has got to be one of the most inept criminals, if he is a criminal, allegedly. We're going to keep that there, right? That I've ever seen. I truly do not understand the logic of you just got arrested by the feds. You have several pending lawsuits. People are on your back. Why are you doing a live? Why are you going live on your Instagram to say anything? You are somewhat of a public figure, somewhat, right? But real rap, why are these people refusing to listen to their lawyers? I don't know if Caesar's lawyer told him not to get on Instagram Live, but I'm going to assume he did. I'm going to assume that, or she did. I'm going to assume that his attorneys said, hey, stay low. You got an ankle bracelet. You got to stay in the house. Listen, his wife, they said she put up a post and showed his ankle bracelet and was playing Usher's Daddy's Home, showing off her man. Like, why are you people not taking this seriously? Are we forgetting that the feds have a 98% conviction rate? Are we forgetting that? Like, why are you playing games? Why are you out there giving them the ammo to lock you in? Why? Why? So we are definitely going to get to the audio of Caesar that has me so confused. I do not understand criminals in 2023 or the last 10 years. I guess maybe since Instagram, really got popping in 2011. I know that it has been around maybe before that, but I feel like 2011 is when it started taking off, and we probably reached peak Instagram DM like 2015, 2016, where it was just like crazy 24/7. You still had that activity tab so you could keep up with what's going on. And ever since then, probably Twitter too. What is it about attention that makes these new age criminals dumb? Every time they always get exposed because they want to do it for the gram. They want to show you everything that they've purchased. They want to show you every car and stunt on you. They want to show you the physical cash that they got their hands on. The grill, the ice, the watch. And listen, I'm hip hop, right? I know that is part of our culture, to flex and stunt and floss and whatever other adjective you want to use to go along with that. But again, why are we stupid? If you are a criminal, why are you making the police's job easier? Look, I just think that it's common sense that if you're doing something illegal, you don't show it online. When we come forward, we're going to play Caesar's audio that will explain to you, like, really, why he's got to be a big dummy and he's going to jail. It's really going to be really simple once you hear this. We're going to get to that on the other side. We're also going to get into Dwight Howard's response to the controversy and comments that have been swirling about him, and also the accuser's response to Dwight's response. And we're going to get into that Nicki Minaj story. Is auntie shade, or is it a sign of respect when a younger person calls someone that is their elder auntie that's not related to them and they don't really know? I know what my answer is, so we will get into that on the other side. You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Crazy diamonds, nothing she wore was ever common. Her dates, heads of state, men of taste, lawyers, doctors, no one was too great for her to get with or even mess with. The press, she says, was next on her list, and believe me, it's as good as true.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Leaders in New York are reacting to the deadly mass shooting in Maine. Governor Kathy Hochul says her heart breaks for the people of Lewiston, Maine, adding that weapons of war have no place on America's streets.